Any other business?
I'm sorry, I have a couple things, but you can go ahead.
Well, I mean, I guess I want to save it for the end because I'm going to just say my final words, but.
Okay. So at the last select board meeting, there was a statement read that was supposed to be, that was intended to be read as a select board statement, to which I objected, at which point the chair decided to read it as a personal statement. I don't think it's appropriate to use our time at any other business to be making personal political statements. The idea is to get other town business done, and I don't think that was used appropriately. I don't think any of us should be coming in with a political statement to make at the end. If we want to make a political statement, we can do it during public comment and take our 3 minutes. But the problem is that I see these personal statements being made elsewhere. At the Northern Sub-Regional Convening Meeting for GPCOG, in their official notes from it, our two representatives, Select Person Gilligan and Chair Barry, said there's a hostile environment for women leaders and civic engagement disincentives. North Yarmouth's polarized, sometimes toxic environment where vocal minorities dominate discourse and people avoid running for office. It's disappointing to see, again, a personal perception rather than something that's been discussed at this board being presented as an official North Yarmouth position as our North Yarmouth representatives. And then that leads me to last night's town meeting. There was a presentation given by the select board. Only apparently 4 people on the select board knew about it, not 5. For some reason, I was unaware that we were giving any type of presentation on the interlocal agreement, and I don't know why I would be left off of that communication. So that, of course, led to a rather unpleasant conversation with Select Person Gilligan's husband, who was fairly aggressive in his questioning. I don't understand why he had a waiver to not follow the rules that the moderator set, that all questions would be directed at the moderator, and instead called me out by name a number of times, to which the moderator simply stared at me, and the rest of the board simply nodded their head in agreement. So I have to say it's a little disappointing to see these personal ideas being pushed rather than town business being taken care of. Thank you.
I think everyone is entitled to their opinions, and I would also caution anybody on the select board, current or future, from taking any steps to constrain the speech of individual select board members. Individual select board members have a First Amendment right to speak freely, as do members of the community and of the audience. And we may not always agree, but that doesn't mean that they can't speak.
My only response is I'd like to see the video recording of me nodding my head in agreement, because I don't think that happened. I agree with you in terms of the aggressive questioning, the comments directed to you. That is the moderator's job to step in and not have that. I think that was unfortunate. I think it's in line with other behavior that we've seen that Judy, I think, correctly called out as people acting like 3-year-olds, that I would love to see us stop doing as a town. And it's unfortunate. I'll leave it at that.
I will share that to me, making a statement in support of members of our community, important, valued members of our community, LGBTQ folks, that's not a political statement. That's a statement about welcome and support for members of our community. And I stand fully by making that statement. And it was also passed unanimously by last year's select board. So it does feel as though it is an opportunity for us to remind folks that our town does support them, especially during this particular Pride Month where folks are being celebrated and recognized. That is an opportunity that I'm really proud that our town takes a stance and a support there. I also do think we need to discuss the request for security during our select board meetings. I'm confused, Paul. We do have more that we need to talk about in our select board. The meeting is not done.
I think if Paul's choosing not to participate, particularly in his request, that's his choice.
Okay. In today's request that Diane received from Paul Whitmarsh in response to the town meeting last night, where he reported that he felt, I don't want to quote without looking at exactly what he said, but there was a feeling of lack of safety for himself and his family based on the comments from last night's meeting. And he has requested, as I mentioned at the top of the meeting, security from our sheriff's office for this meeting and all meetings in the future where he is on the select board. Diane had a chance to speak to Ben McCall, who's our legal representative, or our legal counsel, and Ben made it clear that tonight, because of the short notice, that Diane was able to call on the sheriff's office without passing that by the select board, and they identified that it can come from the payment for this, which in a second, Diane, I'd love to know what the cost is, needs to be identified where it's coming from, and that there was some money left over from our speed patrol that I believe that you were pulling that from. Do you know how much the time is?
I don't know how much it's going to be tonight.
Okay. So because it is a cost, and in particular because it's an unbudgeted cost for future meetings, Ben McCall said that the select board does need to take a vote on whether or not to continue to have sheriff's presence at the meetings, which we can certainly discuss now under any other business, but given that Paul has left, I think we can kind of table that, and at the next meeting, the new select board can make a decision. That money needs to come from somewhere within our budget, and it is unbudgeted.
I guess my question would be if the sheriff will also be at the next meeting without that money being allocated?
No, because it'll be the new fiscal year. So there's no select board authorization, so the sheriff will not be in attendance at the meeting because there is no budget for it allocated. Certainly, we can bring this up, go back to new business and discuss it if we would like to take a vote. But I think at the moment, to me, given that Paul has left, I think it's fair to leave it under any other business and ask the new select board to, Paul can ask the new select board to take that up if he would like.
I think that's the most appropriate way. I reviewed the recording from last night. I do not believe that we need a sheriff present here, and it does strike me that particularly women who serve in public office get much more vitriolic statements on a pretty regular basis, and none of us have asked for sheriff's protection, and perhaps maybe some people should have, I don't know, but I do think that it has a chilling effect, and it's something, and it costs taxpayers money. So I do hope that if the new board considers doing it, they are thoughtful about whether it is warranted and whether that is a cost that we should be asking taxpayers to bear, particularly if it is just one person making the request. And I certainly think people should feel safe. But there is a very big difference between, in my eyes, someone asking questions and getting passionate and making threats. And what I've been told many times by folks is that you need to have a thick skin to be up here, and you need to be able to handle people feeling emotional and feeling upset and coming up to the podium, and that's part of your job. And it's a really hard part of this job. It is a very hard part of this job. But what I witnessed last night and watching back the tape falls into the job. And I hope we can all behave better and more civilly and speak with each other and reach out to each other and have conversations rather than fostering conflict and fostering making things get so heated and contentious when there is a disagreement. It's unfortunate, and it makes me sad for our town. I really hope that doesn't continue.
I find it very hard to square the dismissal of the statements from myself and Molly at a meeting about how it does feel as though there is a hostile environment specifically towards women leaders. We've seen that with obscenities yelled at a town meeting last year. In a recent meeting, I've had obscenities yelled at me in close proximity. And I have not gone through. And first of all, I've had those experiences dismissed as by Mr. Whitmarsh as not having happened. But also, it just feels surprising to me to simultaneously have that dismissed in this discussion, and then to feel as though it's warranted to have the sheriffs here. And again, I do hope everyone feels safe. I do not always feel safe in these meetings, and that's a very real thing. And I know in discussions I've had with other women on the board in particular that there are very much moments in all of this where we do not feel safe. I look forward to a new round of a new select board where we can very clearly have cordial and realistic conversations about the matters at hand and about what it means to be part of our community without threats, without swears, without screaming from the audience, without raised voices. I think we have an opportunity to do that. And I hope that we don't see, this is the second meeting in a row that Mr. Whitmarsh has stood up and walked out before the end of the meeting. And I really hope that in the new select board, we have a different tone. And that we're able to do the hard work of working the town and working cross values and cross ideas, because we all care about North Yarmouth deeply and the people who live here.
So, since we're going in on this topic, I just want to say, I think one thing that's really important that anyone who has stuck around to listen or is listening on the recording should recognize is that nobody has the right to tell someone else how, if they should feel threatened or if something was threatening to them or not. It's a very subjective experience, right? So someone's, up here trying to do their best for the town and they're made to feel uncomfortable, they're made to feel threatened. It's something we should listen to and take seriously. So, I don't want to dismiss a concern by a member of this board over conduct towards them. Like that's a real thing that we should consider. I am with Susie in terms of objectively, I didn't see anything that rose to the level of feeling like safety was in danger. And also I didn't see anything that was different than what I've seen, probably half dozen times in these meetings and before at town meetings. So it's unfortunate. I don't think that's who we are as people and how we want to behave. I know there's been times when, and I think to your point about this being part of the job, I mean, there's been times when people have, said things about me or to me, and they didn't understand the context I was going through. And it was really, really hard, to be criticized, why weren't you at that meeting, or why didn't you do this or do that? And it's like, well, I was at a dinner with a family member who was about to pass away. And, I'm sorry that I didn't go to that committee meeting that night. But, the point is, you don't know what someone's going through. You don't know what they've been through in the past. And when someone is being aggressive towards you or yelling at you, and it may be coming from a genuine place, maybe coming from an earnest place of, disagreement of trying to do what's right for the town, but you don't know what that person's perceiving in that moment. So, just try to have a little bit of grace, try to have some understanding. We're all in this together. It doesn't always feel like it, but we are, and we'll get through this. And, again, I don't think that what we've seen here, I don't want to vote on anything because I don't think what we've seen, it warrants that, but certainly, that's a discussion for the next select board, which I will not be a part of. And that's all I have to say on that.
Other notes or comments? Good, Molly. All right. Before we wrap our meeting, we're going to flip to a positive side of this, which is some appreciations and thank yous, unless anyone has anything else to add. Well, I'd like to first start with our select board tribute to Diane, our fearless town manager leader. You love North Yarmouth. We know that you do. We'll have a special place in your heart forever, and this is to entertain you for the first, week of your retirement, and then be excited for all the things that come in the future. I will say, Diane, I just want to personally appreciate you. You have been the town manager in the 4 years that I've been here, and I have learned so much from you. You are a role model. You are a exemplary town manager. The number of people who have come up to me and said, "Oh, you're losing Diane. Like, what are you gonna do?" And before that, "Oh my gosh, Diane is your town manager." You are so lucky. You have taken this town from a position of real strife in a lot of different ways, and you have turned us in a direction that is really inspiring in just 4 years. I mean, it has been shocking and impressive, and you have kind of pulled out the magic like every single turn while you've been here, and your staff love you, and I think that is maybe, to me, one of the biggest measures of the impact that someone has in a role and in community is the way that your staff is going to feel that big hole, but also have all grown and learned under your leadership in ways that I don't think they could have imagined. And I want you to leave here and know that, North Yarmouth is forever in your debt. That I personally will take what I've learned from you and working with you in this role forward in my career. I talk to other town managers all the time, and I always find myself sharing things that you do that make things better here in North Yarmouth, or things that you've said to me that I can share with them, being like, yes, this is a really hard job, but you can do it, and you can make a difference even through some of that difficulty. And I think you've shown that with grit, but you've also shown that with an ease and a flow. And I'm just so proud to have had this chance, and deeply appreciative and care so deeply for you and your role here. Thank you.
Thank you. Been a journey, 40 years. People say to me all the time, I could never do your job. I don't know how you could. I mean, everybody says that to me, but when I think about what I do and what I've been doing for 40 years, I can't imagine doing anything else but public service. I think about the jobs that these other people have that say they could never do my job, and I think, well, I could never do your job. But it's been very rewarding. The best part is, being able to serve the public. But I couldn't do what I do without the employees. The employees mean so much, and I'm just, like an anchor for them. They if I can teach them things, that's great. They teach me things. but it's a team effort. I can't do it alone, and they can't do it alone. So I've been very lucky to have very good employees here in North Yarmouth. I have everywhere I've gone, and the journey has been, there's been smooth roads and there's bumpy roads, but that is with everything. But what I wish I had done from day one is started a journal of everything, and you just wouldn't believe the things that happened over 40 years. And I mean, just in the short period of time that you're here, but it's been great. The people in the communities that I have met and will remain friends with forever, and my colleagues and the counselors and select board members, it's all been good. But it's time to give it up, and getting tired.
Well, we wish
I
you.
wear too many hats.
Yeah, I should have
As you
given you
know.
one of the. We wish you many days in the sun in Aruba. That is what we wish for you, with some puzzles and some books to read. But yeah, just thank you, Diane.
But it's time now to put my husband first and my pets, and it's going to be different. It's going to be good.
Thank you, Diane. I don't want to belabor what's been a lot of talking, but I do want to point out as well that Diane does so much more than people realize. And you've worked so hard and so tirelessly for North Yarmouth, and we are better for it. Thank you.
All right, I want to give you a standing ovation. So. I mean, also, Lisbon is not that far away from North Yarmouth, so.
30 minutes.
All right, we also, I'm struggling here. We have two other folks who are leaving our board, which,
That's Susie, yep.
pass this to you. And your requirement is to take out that top hat, because you're not going to be able to say that you are.
Someone in the front row is going to steal this from
Yes.
me momentarily.
You're not going to be able to say that you're a North Yarmouth select person anymore, but you can wear your town pride front and center with that. Yes, just thank you to both of you. Carl, we've served 3 years together. 1 year when we were in leadership together, and Susie, a year and a half, and the same. You've both been amazing members of this board, and I know that Molly and I are going to miss you very much as you go, and have Tuesdays free for ice cream and tacos and everything else. But yeah, thank you both for your commitment to this town and to supporting your neighbors and to the thoughtfulness and the care that you've brought to this job. It is thankless in so many ways, and so this is our last moment of thanks for you for everything you've done for North Yarmouth. So thank you.
Thank you, Andrea.
Do you want to have the last word?
Yeah.
You served longer than
Sure,
me, so I
yeah.
feel like you can
Back
have it,
cleanup.
and I'll be briefer. I do just want to thank the town of North Yarmouth for letting me serve in this position, and my family for letting me serve in this position, which was very, very difficult, and is the reason I will not be continuing. I love this town so much. I've loved working for this town. I've loved getting to know people that I wouldn't have otherwise met. Really think about the issues that are facing our community and try to find ways through them. It is really hard, and we have an apathy problem in North Yarmouth, and not enough people are involved. And that makes it really challenging and lonely to do this type of service. And I really loved seeing how many people came to town meeting last night. And to the extent that any of those people are watching, please stay engaged, because the town needs you. It's really hard for 5 people to try to do the work of representing the town. And I really appreciate the folks who do come to our meetings, but we don't get a representative sample of the town's opinions, and it can be really challenging. So please, people, get involved. That's what I would close with.
All right, we've done a lot of talking, so I'll keep this brief. But I just want to say, Diane, thank you very much for all that you've done to the town, to all of the town staff, Clark, obviously, retiring as well. Congratulations, best wishes for retirement. To my board members, Molly, Andrea, Susie, Paul, and the other board members I've served with, Amy Hale, Paul Hodgetts, Kit Maloney, Nancy Tice, thank you for what you've done. Thank you for your partnership and your leadership. Thank you for all the folks who are participating, coming to these meetings and participating in committees. We don't always agree, but I think the most important thing is participation and being involved. Greatly appreciate that. Greatly appreciate the people who have supported me, the people who have challenged me, and mostly my family for being patient with me and accepting that I'm going to come home at 9:30 and eat dinner. This has been, in the end, my goal was to be the 5th best member on a strong select board. And I know we definitely fight like family, but I do think that this has been a strong board, and I do think that we'll continue to be a strong board. Dana is going to do a great job, Michael will do a great job, and we're going to have, continued strong board moving forward. Lots of challenges with rising costs and new town manager and all those things, but this is a great community and we'll make it work. So thank you to everybody.
All right, well, one of you want to make the motion to adjourn?
Yes, I move to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor? Okay, congratulations. You done. Thanks, everyone.